Psychiatry isn't a science.
What?
Psychology
What?
doesn't exist in the social
That's
vacuum.
not true.
It doesn't.
Are all social
Look it up.
sciences fake to you?
Psychological explanations are reduced to specific times and places. You can't do that with people.
Wait, what do you mean? Well, how can
So-
you not do
so
this?
let me-
People
Destiny,
make this
interrupt.
bad
Go ahead,
comparison
Destiny.
between like biology and psychology because people will look at microscopic claims made biology and pretend that that's where all of the big claims are made. So for instance, so Rob's earlier question of like, do we know that mitosis happens, that cells divide? Well, yeah, of course, but that's not
didn't say that.
interesting. And whoever asked that earlier, turn to Ashton, right? That's not interesting. We know that, right? That's fine. Like this would be comparable to a claim or a system in psychology, say like related to operant conditioning, right? Do we know that there are some ways to condition a behavior based on a reward that will make that behavior more repeatable? That's like really basic, easy psychology. The problem is that with psychology, we're really trying to answer really big, really complicated questions. These are really hard to answer for every scientific discipline. So to compare like a very precise claim, like, do we know how, like RNA reads DNA and, makes proteins? Like, sure, like we might have like a microscopic thing like that, but on a more macro level, for instance, like how do we cure cancer? What do we do with Alzheimer's disease? Like we know the little plaques that are involved, we know the little prions involved. Why can't we do anything about that? Like how do we get people to lose weight?
So no, I see where you're going here.
How do
That
we-
makes sense.
Even for something that we've been doing for thousands of years, like how do you build muscle the most effective way? Even this is something that's like argued about, This is just a blog post from a for-profit hospital. This isn't like a medical authority or anything. I don't know why you linked this.
This is
Rob.
like an opinion piece, Rob.
You're a sneaky one. Rob.
What's that?
You're a sneaky one.
Sneaky. Listen,
Damn,
the
you
study.
talk really fast, bro.
You have to.
We
before Rob
should have a
interrupts you.
fast taco. Oh, come on, you were interrupting me too. Don't play the victim.
Because you pivot to like 50
come
every
on.
time we have a conversation. You bring up like 35
Yeah, okay,
fucking random things.
Look.
You're literally
Rob-
talking about Trump in a conversation about Cuomo.
You
You're
brought
talking to me
Trump
about
up
pivoting.
because you mentioned you compared
I
his
didn't bring him
travel
up.
bans to
Look.
Cuomo stuff.
No.
didn't say
Wait,
that.
Rob, you did bring Trump up.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you brought Trump.
That
into
was
this.
John. That was
No.
John. I didn't.
Okay,
say
maybe
it.
John, I didn't do it. I didn't know I
Maybe
didn't
it
do
could have been John, but I know when
wasn't
you
me.
were coming back at Destiny, you definitely brought Trump into it, and I was like, so when you were coming back at Destiny talking about bringing Trump into it, I was like, that was you, bro.
No, I didn't do
on,
it. That,
man.
I brought it up in response to them. Look, Tiffany's not here, but the
It-
study
look,
she
look.
cites it's from the Imperial. Well, just real quick, on a
It could have
serious
been
issue,
John, but
what she cited was the Imperial College stating that lockdowns work. Yeah, that was the model that was used in the UK and in the United States from Neil Ferguson that said 2.2 million Americans would die in a do-nothing scenario and said 500,000 Brits would die in a do-nothing scenario. They've been largely discredited.
That
I'm
doesn't
not
seem actually
surprised
that
they-
crazy anymore, does it? Considering how much we did try to do and we lost, we're
Sure.
probably going to lose about 650,000
Yeah.
people. I know that a lot of people like you
So,
were making
no.
fun of that 2 million figure relentlessly. We're actually like not really that far from it, considering how many steps we have taken.
But listen,
to everything.
listen though. That's not what I'm saying, right?
Not
They
now,
said
but-
first off, they're discredited by saying a do-nothing scenario, which is literally impossible. Second, we're only a quarter of a way to that, and they said that these numbers would approach that if we didn't follow their lockdown guidance, which they suggested an 18-month lockdown.
Wait, how
we didn't
long
even-
are we in the
so
United
even-
States now?
So you're saying we've been in a lockdown like they recommended for 18 months?
No, we haven't, but we started to follow
Okay.
a lot of the guidelines, which is why we didn't hit that the 2
Okay.
million number, right?
But
No,
Destiny,
no. I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
How do you guys? I'm curious for all of you anti-lockdown people. How do you explain places like Australia where they locked down, the virus went away, and then they unlocked down, and in places like Victoria it started to spring up, and then they locked down again and it went away? Was that just random
See,
chance, or?
I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't think that we should have locked down the whole population. I think that we definitely should have locked down it to begin with because nobody knew anything about it. I don't think the lockdowns were bad to start. Like I think that's a good thing. But the fact that it's been a year now, like we learned more about the virus. We learned that it had a target population, and at that point we should have said, okay, let's look at a way that we can kind of subsidize this portion of the population. Let's look at a way to keep these people out of the environment. And maybe we can give those people stimulus checks.
Sure. I
because
don't
we
disagree.
knew
No,
it
literally
wasn't-
nobody
we knew
disagrees
it wasn't as
with this.
but, yeah, we knew it wasn't as deadly to the younger population. So I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I
I'm
think the
kind of in the
lockdown
middle
were the
as
right
well.
Yeah,
thing
literally
to
no one
begin
disagrees with
with,
this, but I'm not asking about
Unless
that. I don't
you
want
got
a
fucking
moderate
stimulus checks, you got
position of
no
like.
payment.
That's me.
Yeah, hold on. I'm not asking for the moderate position of, well, we needed more stimulus and we should have been like more nuanced with our. Literally, everyone would agree with that.
Yeah.
The question is for people that literally,
Right.
because there were at least 2 of you in here that were saying that like, oh, lockdowns don't do anything at all. I want to know very specifically when you look at a place like Australia, how do you explain the fact that they had cases, they locked down, and then they unlocked down, they got more cases, and then they locked down and they went away again. How do you explain stuff like that?
So there's seven.
Can you explain the other cases as well, though?
That's right.
So no one has a response. Okay,
gotcha.
All right, okay.
But listen. I'll answer your question. I'll answer it first.
Can you do it without naming another country, Rob? Let's see if you can do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, it'll be tough. I'll try my best. Australia's lockdown was probably far more stringent than other countries' lockdowns, correct?
Yep.
Right. That's the problem. Like,
no, that's not the problem. That's what we're saying we need to do.
No. Listen, a lockdown could possibly be effective if it's almost universal. That was never even attempted in the United States, right? What we did was the worst of both worlds.
Wait, hold on, Rob. You're
because the
okay,
people.
Never mind. I don't want to. I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000,000%, Rob. Your position. You've taken my position. I agree with you. I agree with you.
This is what I said we should have did from the get-go. I said we should have protected the most vulnerable population and allowed those that were less at risk, that have a 99.97 survivability rate, to continue to go about their life as best as possible. And then take the resources, because our economy wouldn't have been collapsing like it is now, because we brought down the healthy population, took those resources and used it to protect the most vulnerable people. Now, you could have done that.
Okay, Rob, hold off. We are live now. The break is over. We can carry this on afterwards.
John, I just want to say, we didn't want to argue at all in here, and Rob was screaming at all of us the entire time. We were all very threatened in here, okay? It was very upsetting.
In fairness, it was good screaming.
Everybody take a drink. Take a drink, everybody.
He's cleared his windpipes, that's all.
All right, we're going to moving on to the next topic. Now, amazingly enough, that topic, the first one was a softball. That was kind of like the easy one. The next one we're getting into was a little bit more spicy, if you will. All right, so let's get into it. Amazon slammed after banning books it says frames transgenderism as a mental illness. Liberal billionaire Jeff Bezos, behemoth online retail, and by the way, this is news from Fox. I am not quoting this as if I agree with it in regards to the defamation, whatever you want. I'm just literally reading from a source. I take sources from CNN, Breitbart, to Fox, across the spectrum, so please keep that in mind. I'm not trying to show favoritism here. I do my best to keep it. What do you got, Chris Stack?
Could you please link the article, because I've not heard it.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. 1 second. Let me finish the intro, and I will actually link it to you. All right, billionaire Jeff Bezos, behemoth online retailer Amazon, is receiving fierce criticism after announcing it would no longer sell books that it says frame transgender and other sexual identities as mental illnesses. Amazon announced that the decision, in a letter sent to Republican lawmakers, that it was obtained and published by the Wall Street Journal. Senators Marco Rubio, Mike Lee, Mike Braun, and Josh Hawley had inquired why the online retailer pulled Ryan T. Anderson's best-selling book, When Harry Became Sally, responding to the transgender movement, which has been characterized by the Bezos-owned Washington Post as anti-transgender. As a book, and quotations on this part, as a bookseller, we provide our customers with access to a variety of viewpoints, including books that some customers may find objectionable. Amazon works hard to ensure customers have a great shopping experience and access to widest and most diverse cross-section of written and spoken word in retail today. Amazon wrote to lawmakers, "We reserve the right not to sell certain content. All retailers make decisions about what selection they choose to offer, as do we." Panelists, my question to you is, how do you feel about this? In regards to, should Amazon be forced by the government, or does Amazon retain the right to choose what they wish to sell and what they don't wish to sell? So we're going to change this up. Destiny, we're going to start with you. You got 1 minute on the horn. Go ahead, sir.
I think as a private distributor of any good, you have a right, I would argue it's your First Amendment right, to have a decision over what you wish to sell. So, I mean, if you don't want to force a particular seller to carry a product, or we shouldn't be forcing particular sellers to carry products, I think that that's okay, that idea. I would say, though, that like I don't like the idea that a large like retailer would start to make like ideological distinctions in terms of what they're selling, unless it's like a specific type of retailer. So, for instance, if you had like a Christian bookstore, I wouldn't see you like selling a bunch of books by like Hitchens or something. That would be like understandable. If you're Amazon and you're selling books, I would imagine that I should be able to go onto Amazon and buy whatever fucking book I want. The biggest problem that I have is that when you start like getting rid of books because you think that what they say is like bad or whatever, or you don't agree with them, then I think that the next logical assumption is then we should be able to say that every book you do sell is something that you do agree with. And I just feel like that just leads to a really weird world where we start banning the sale of all sorts of books because we think that you must support, like, do they sell Mein Kampf or something on Amazon? Is that a book I can get there? Are they Nazis?
I literally just, yeah. So like, I'm glad you brought that up. I literally just looked it up. Yeah, they do.
Beyond fucking stupid. I disagree with that obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm basically gonna agree with almost everything Destiny said. I have to base this around our constitutional freedoms and rights.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Destiny again on this one. It really comes down to the Constitution on this one. It's like they have the right to do it.
Transgender people is no longer classified as a mental disorder by the World Health Organization. The fact that they removed these books show that it's in line with current scientific consensus. It's Amazon's best interest not to sell these books that now hold what conservatives would call fake news. Amazon can refuse to sell books at their own discretion. However, keep in mind, these books do actively harm trans people by spreading misinformation at a time when misinformation on trans people is prevalent.
Before I do my minute, I'll just quickly add that you were talking about Mein Kampf. I actually own Mein Kampf myself, so it was kind of funny.
Oh my God, I can't have you on this panel. Nazi! I'm sorry.
Am I allowed to show it quick?
Let's not, just in case.
Wait, Chris, do you have it just for like reading to like argue against it, or do you have it because you're like recreational reading?
It's
the same thing. Same reason I have Rage.
Anyway, with this whole thing about Amazon, I come from working within the arts industry, and although
wait, did you say the neo-Nazi industry? What did you say?
No. I said the arts industry.
Arts.
Oh,
the arts industry.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Jesus, Anthony, stop. Oh my God.
My bad. I'm sorry. I heard that wrong.
I didn't do anything.
All right, your time's starting over, Chris.
Sorry,
Let's give you a fresh start.
I work within the arts industry, and I think with what's happening here is Amazon shouldn't really be censoring it in a way. These books should be there with, say, a warning. Because one of the major things with the arts industry is you don't censor art. It's same with history. You don't censor it. It has to be there for the public eyes. So I think what they're doing is completely wrong.
Yeah, I'm totally not married to like the whole dangerous books. I mean, they do it all the time with some stuff, censorship in itself. I'm a little iffy sometimes, when you go into and you're looking at the medical medium, it's placed to a book from the Mayo Clinic. One's a reliable source of information and one's not. Personal responsibility is important when you're trying to learn yourself. I mean, ultimately, we need a better universal education and evidence against educational practices and this access to information, regardless of the ability to pay for college. But while it's worrisome, it's definitely important to have the misinformation and anti-science sources be kept in public information so that people have access to all kinds of information. And it being Amazon, it's probably just a grab for attention because this seems like a really small step in a direction that, nobody really asked for.
So on this issue, yeah, I largely agree with most everyone. I don't think there's a difference between when we see things like social media and sort of the monopolies that they may have on the flow of information versus Amazon. Now, it certainly has a large share in the amount of books that are sold, but clearly there are other options that you could buy books from other retailers, so they can do whatever they want. I don't have a problem with that. I agree it's a bad idea for them to do this. I agree with you, John, the fact that they're selling Mein Kampf. And as American Nacho said, what does that prove? They disagree with this criticism of transgender issues, but they agree with Mein Kampf, right? Apparently, that's what they're saying without saying it. Let's spice it up, though. Transgenderism is an illness, whether it be mental or physical. And even if you disagree with that, it's certainly debatable. So even the fact that it should have some sort of warning label on it is absurd. This is a position within science. This is a position within common sense. And I'm tired of trying to censor the truth to make people feel good. It's ridiculous. And book burning's bad. Book censorship's bad. No movement in history that I'm aware of has suggested removing books and ended up being a movement that was worthwhile.
My stance on this is I'm a libertarian in a sense. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe that is a private enterprise. They have the right to do whatever they want. If they don't want to sell the book, don't sell the book. You can get it from someplace else. But I do agree with Destiny, Rob, and the rest of them that it sets a very bad precedence that basically you're selling Mein Kampf, but you're not going to sell a book that is anti-transgenderism. The statement that you're making there is like saying, hey, don't talk bad about transgenders, but Nazism is perfectly acceptable. So I think that it's kind of like the whole Facebook debacle. Like, do they want to step in as moderators or editors? It's the same as Amazon. In my mind, a smart move would have been, we sell everything. We don't agree or disagree. We just serve as a book seller. That's it. If that's the stance you take, I think you're pretty much safe from public outcry and cancel culture. In regards to transgenderism, I'm sorry, Tiffany, all due respect. And I think that this argument is is kind of overlooked, that even if I find that somebody I disagree with in regards to suffering from a psychological disorder, whatever you want to claim it as, makes them inherently a bad person. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I do feel like that if there's a disconnect between the body and the actual mind, saying in regards to what sex you are, I think that is an issue. I honestly think it is. Does it make a person a bad person? No. You could say the same thing about PTSD, post-traumatic stress. Does that make somebody a bad person because they have this? Absolutely not. But the basis of the argument saying that somebody feels like they're in the wrong body, the wrong sex, that means there's a disconnect. Therefore, there's a disorder. There's something wrong. But again, I feel like the argument's been taken so far off the rails to saying if somebody does have a psychological disorder, they're inherently a bad human being. I don't agree with that. I actually have trans friends, and I'm not saying that, but like, oh, hey, I've got a black friend. I'm not racist. I actually have trans friends. I love them to death. I do. We just disagree on some of these topics there. But that's where I stand. Open for debate. Have at it.
Yeah, that sounds like the whole I have a black friend argument. You have to remember that being
that's why I literally just said that, though.
Yeah, I know, but it still sounds like that. Even if you like preemptively like try to like stop that analogy, it's hard to bury. Just because trans people do have a disconnect with their brain and body, it's a biological issue. But none when we think mental issues, we're not talking about just one thing doesn't match with the other. It's more of can you function in society? Trans people are capable of functioning in society perfectly as long as they they're treated well. Like, I know trans suicide rates are high, but that's because they're treated like shit a lot of times by their own family. In fact, it shows that like trans people who are accepted by their parents, suicidality is less likely to happen, I think, around like 90%.
Isn't it kind of hard to prove that though? Like,
I'm not done. So no, it's not hard to prove because this is an actual study I can link. First off,
okay,
it's not a mental illness. Based on the World Health Organization, which FYI are individuals infinitely smarter than anyone on this panel. If you're in denial, that's okay. Specifically, Ron and John, I get it. It's like it just solidifies my severe low opinion of you. Not so much John, but Rob. That said, people can have this information if they want wrong information. Additionally, I don't think they should sell Mein Kampf. Like, just because they sell it doesn't mean I agree with it. I think that should also be removed. And perhaps someday they will remove it, considering all the what people are calling cancel culture is happening. If cancel culture means removing Nazi propaganda, then yeah, I'm fine with cancel culture, okay? And if you want more links to trans issues, this is my bread and fucking butter, so I'm actually
post them if you post them in the chat. Post them in the hold on real quick. The links that you have, Tiffany, post them in the Whereby chat, and then I'll also post them in the
Which
chat
link
that we're actually
want?
streaming on.
I have
whatever one you want to share. Whatever you want to share. Rob, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so there's a lot to say here. First, you misarticulate what an illness is. An illness doesn't mean that you can't survive or live or something like that. An illness is something that requires medical information to try to get you as close to homeostasis to treat that as possible. And whether it be a mental or a physical
definition?
Hold on, let Rob finish. He's still talking.
I could read a dictionary definition if you want, but that's what
I'm going to do it right now for you.
Sure, go ahead. Read the dictionary definition of illness.
A disease or period of sickness affecting the body or mind.
Yeah.
Real quick. We don't go by dictionary here when we're talking.
It's a sickness, but it's not a sickness.
We don't read dictionary definitions ever when we're talking about like APA or WHO rulings. Also, by the way, because the APA or the WHO does not read the dictionary to determine what's an illness or not. I think you should focus on the idea that like the WHO and the APA don't say that being transgender or being a trans person is an illness. So I mean, like, I don't know.
It is an illness, so it doesn't matter what.
It's not.
So let's go through it.
Let Rob finish, please. Let Rob finish.
You can just keep interrupting because you feel sanctimonious on the issue if you want, but it is an illness, and it is because, and we'll go through it and we could show why. So, because it requires some sort of medical intervention to help people achieve a status that they feel safe. So, for example, let's just go through a series of questions real quick. Do you think there's a difference between transgender and a cross-dresser? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You muted me.
Yes.
And what's that difference? Can you explain what being trans? Can you explain to me? Define what transgender is.
I mean, do you want to look up the actual definition? Like, this is
no. You tell me in your own words. It's something. You're an expert on it.
Women or transgender in general?
In general, what does transgender mean? Define what it means.
Like your perspective.
I mean, transgender means denoting or relating to a person whose sense or personality.
But what's your perspective?
You're reading a definition.
Yeah, but you asked for the
definition.
Hold on,
let her, hold on, calm down, let her answer.
You asked for the definition, I was giving it to you.
Okay, sure. Let's hear your definition.
What do you mean? My definition is the actual definition.
Let's hear it then.
I was just reading it to you, and you gave me shit for it.
I didn't intervene.
Go ahead and read your definition there, Tiffany.
That was me. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realize that was you. Okay. It's denoting or relating to a person whose sense or personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex.
That's right. And so what it means is that there's something biologically or mentally wrong with the mind.
That doesn't.
That's right. I agree. And this is why I bring it up. So if you give me a chance, cross-dressing's not an illness. That's someone who's preferring to wear the clothing and present themselves
some people
as in the art.
Actually,
hold on, Tiffany. Hold on. Let Rob respond, please.
Right. So that's what cross-dressing is, presenting in what we consider the traditional gender garb of someone of the opposite sex. That's what cross-dressing is. Transgender is more than that. It means that there's there's a disconnect between the mind and what a person feels the sex they are. It's actually, the word should be transsexual, because gender is a word that implies what you identify as sort of socially. Sex is different. So when trans women say trans women are women, they're implying that their sex is actually different. And if you have something wrong with your body, whether it be physiologically or mentally, that you think you were born in the wrong body, thus you require some sort of medical intervention, whether it be hormone therapy, surgeries, and things like that. That is an illness.
Why do you why do you think you have
this.
the authority to stand against the APA or the WHO on this? If you say that you have the science on your side, right? Most of them recognize, like, everything that you're talking about, the thing that requires medical treatment isn't being a trans person, it's alleviating gender dysphoria. Like, that's what's considered the underlying mental illness, is if you have gender dysphoria.
Okay, so that's the next argument. So gender
hold on,
dysphoria
wait. I'm not going to let you reframe things so dishonestly. That's not the next argument. That is the argument. That is the official stance of the APA and the WHO. That's not the next argument.
So then let me ask you.
Hold on, real quick. Calm down.
Okay.
Destiny, frame your question to Rob. Rob, respond, please.
Yeah. So the actual position of the WHO.
Hold on. Let Destiny talk, Rob. Yeah. Let Destiny talk. Destiny, frame your question to Rob, please.
Yeah, I'm just restating. The WHO and the APA state that gender dysphoria is the underlying illness, and that's generally what is treated, not being trans.
All right, go ahead,
Can you
Rob.
be trans without having gender dysphoria?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you? So what does that look like? And this is the first time I've heard the answer yes.
Sure.
So perhaps I'm wrong.
Sure. So I'll compare it to body dysmorphia, I believe, right? So some people, so you might take two people the exact same way. One person might be or both people might be overweight. One person feels an extreme mental distress as a result of being overweight, and it might drive them into other mental issues. They might feel depressed, anxious. They might commit suicide as a result of it, etc. Another person might be overweight, but they're just like, fuck it, it's okay. Like, it is what it is. And you can make comparable arguments to trans people. It's possible that you are a trans person and you identify more closely with a sex that wasn't assigned with you at birth, but it doesn't cause you a great amount of mental distress. That's the difference between being a trans person versus the experience of gender dysphoria.
Okay, but that's clearly not all that's being treated, because if that was all that was being treated, then we would be treating the mental issue of things like depression. We wouldn't have, for example, surgeries to change the genitalia of people, because that has nothing to do with the depression.
But it does, though.
Hold on. We're going to Rob, then over to Tiffany.
Yeah.
Rob, go ahead.
So real quick, and then I'll
Tiffany.
leave you respond, Tiffany. Yeah, no problem. So it's clear, like, this is a fun game that's played. So, for example, we hear oftentimes that the government should, in places where people are registered in government entities, whether it be in the military, in prison, things like that, we say that the government should be responsible for paying for surgeries, gender hormone therapy, etc., things like that, because it's a medical condition. But then on the other hand, we say, how dare you call it a medical condition? So I'm more than happy to accept, no, this isn't a medical condition. If we say, therefore, no insurance should have to cover any therapies for it, no government should have to cover any transition therapies or hormone therapies, because it's not in a medical condition, it's an elective surgery. It's an elective treatment.
It's not elective.
Over to Tiffany.
We already have a remedy to help people with gender dysphoria, and that's remedy involves matching their body to match the mind. And this has been done by studies, which I will link to you if you need it. So it's not like we don't have a remedy for this. We do. It's just not a remedy you like. Also, I want to roll it back like Walmart, Rob. That you said some people, like, what's the difference between cross-dressers and trans people? You do realize some people do consider cross-dressers as mentally disabled or inept.
I do.
Additionally, we don't think we know we are women. Trans people know we are. That's why we transition. No one actively wants to make their life harder. Being trans involves a lot of time, money, and grief. You can't take out my brain and put it in a cis woman's body and just fucking fix it. It's impossible. So we have no choice but to match our bodies to match our mind. During development, the mind doesn't always develop at the same time as genitalia, and one can lag behind the other. This is like definitive proof that trans people exist and are valid. And if really you thought we were mentally disabled or like messed up, then why are you pitying people with actual mental disabilities but shitting on trans people? It just makes you look really not just stupid, but really bad, Rob.
Hold on.
May I respond?
I got to pause here. I got to pause. Hold on. Calm down. Let's not phrase this as far as somebody shit. Hold on. Stop. Let's stop framing any kind of statement saying you're shitting on someone. A disagreement does not mean you're shitting on someone. It's a disagreement. If Rob starts name calling, I would correct him. Tiffany, please take that into account.
Sorry, Rob, you have a nice beard.
Oh my God. I don't mean it like that.
I think you're just you're it's an issue that's close to your heart. I get it. Let me just say some caveats here to begin with. Every single trans person that I've talked to on my channel, I've called them the pronouns they've asked. I admonish people that think that they should make fun of people for being trans or fear people for being trans. That's bullshit. I say that it's an illness. I have deep loved ones that are bipolar, that are schizophrenic, that hear voices. I love them more than anything. That doesn't mean I believe the voices are real. So just because we're talking about this in a clinical sense doesn't mean that I'm suggesting treating people like shit that I think have this illness. Now, everything you just said when you talked about, well, my brain development, blah, blah, blah. Yes, when we have other things where you have brain development, hormones aren't catching up, those require medical interventions. Those are basically illnesses. Those are things that are medical conditions that require interventions. That's what transgenderism is, as you said. So it is a form of illness. That's what it is. Whether it be physical illness that requires physical because the hormones aren't correct or things like that, or whether it be a mental illness because the brain is not in line with what the body is. Regardless, it is an illness. Your own statements prove it. The idea that people want to have their cake and eat it too, they want to say, well, it's not an illness, but at the same time, it is an illness. That means that insurance should have to cover therapies for it. The government should have to require therapies for it if people are in government institutions is nonsense.
My statement is not law, but you have to remember that the World Health Organization agrees with me. So who are you to like go against those people?
I don't give a shit. Hold on.
Clear. Hold on. We got Six Flags and over to Destiny. Six Flags, go ahead. I got that as a moderator. I got that. Six Flag had his hand up first, and we'll go to Destiny. Six Flag, go ahead. There's Six Films. Excuse me.
So my thing is like, Tiffany, this is really dear to your heart. We get that. We're not trying to be mean to you or anything. I mean, okay? So the fact that transgender is, in fact, a mental illness. It is. You can say it's not, but it is. It's just another term. Let me finish.
It's actually not legally.
Hold on. Go ahead. Okay? Six Flags.
So according to the APA, the transgender refers to a person whose sex assigned at birth does not match their gender identity, but they experience gender dysphoria.
No, that's not true. Not every trans person experiences gender dysphoria.
According to the AP, I can send this article.
Was this written back in like 1982? Do you want to like link that?
Can you link the article in chat, please? Six Films. Destiny. In the meantime, over to you, sir. I'll share the article to the chat.
So yeah,
Destiny,
so to be clear, unless something has changed very recently, the APA does not say that every single trans person experiences gender dysphoria. And if you personally,
I misspoke. It's
sure.
some people.
Okay. That's really important. Okay, so if you want to hold the position that being transgender or being a trans person is a mental disorder, you can hold that position. That's fine, but you stand in opposition to like the scientific community when you say this. So like if you want to hold that opinion, you can do that, but you can't simultaneously hold that opinion and be like, oh well, I just follow the science. Oh well, I just want to be fact over feeling. But that's fine. But that's like your emotional viewpoint on it. It's like emotionally you feel like it must be a mental illness for whatever reason, but you stand contrary to like the psychologists that are the ones that are responsible for publishing what is a mental disorder and everything.
Destiny, let me hold on. I got to interject here. Destiny, do you feel like the WHO has ever been wrong on certain situations? Because at one point we actually classified homosexuals as being mentally unstable as well, and that was actually approved by scientists everywhere.
Yeah,
is it possible that the scientists could have it wrong and be flawed? And let me two-part question here. Is it possible for them to be wrong? And two, do you think that political alignment can also influence the outcome of certain, say for example, studies?
So for the first thing, yeah, of course scientists can be wrong, but you update your information as time goes on. Like they could be wrong about a ton of things right now, but I mean, I'm not going to say that like, I'm being scientific when I stand in opposition to the scientific communities. You can say you believe the science is wrong and then give you a reason why, but you can't say, I think the science is correct and then like say that this is something that I'm going to say that's in opposition to the science. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So for the first part, for the second part, could scientific people like buckle to political pressure or whatever? It is possible in some cases that maybe that could happen. That just needs to be demonstrated. We can't just pull that out as a convenient card every time. You're like, oh, look, like they were just being, it was just political pressure when I wanted to be and not when I don't want it to be. Like that doesn't really make any sense. Like lefties, commies try to do that when they argue about econ. Like every economic study is flawed and biased because the neoliberal blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. And then conservatives seem to do that when it comes to any social science. Like, oh no, like all of these, the sociologists are all like lying about it. It's like you can't, if you want to demonstrate that, you can. And there have been times where it's happened. And I'm sure some of the great enjoyment to some of the conservatives on this panel, for instance, when the Lancet published that huge study that was pulling all of that private data showing that, I don't remember if this is related to hydroxychloroquine or something else related to the treatment of all those people. Like that study got thrown out later after it was published. That study got thrown out. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, science is definitely wrong sometimes, of course.
Yeah, I just want to agree with Destiny, and just to bring it back, the initial topic was whether these people should remove the books from Amazon to purchase, and considering as of now the scientific consensus disagrees with Rob, Six, and other people who have that mindset, they probably shouldn't sell them, and they can. I just don't think they should. It's not in their best interest. And that's what I think the whole point of this initial topic was.
Yeah, well, I mean, the topics, to be in all fairness, the topics tend to, and this is your first time on the panel, so I introduce the topic, and sometimes if the topic goes off topic, I'm okay with that, because it's ultimately, it's conversation that needs to be had. But Tiffany, I do want to question you on that. I didn't realize
we were trying to, like, branch. I'm used to being on panels where we have to kind of, like, stay on topic, but you're like, yeah, just float.
No,
you know?
I love seeing where conversation goes.
Okay, well, the conservatives here are wrong who disagree that, trans people don't have mental illness. But I mean, to be fair, conservatives are wrong on like fucking everything. So like this is
well, Tiffany, I want to counter. Hold on, and then we'll get to Rob. Tiffany, I want to counter you, not on the trans issue. I want to go back to the Amazon issue, saying they shouldn't be allowed. I'm correct me if I'm misquoting.
They shouldn't be allowed.
No, I'm okay. Oh, they shouldn't. Okay, so I wanted to clarify on that.
They should be allowed. I think it's against their best interest, but I don't think they should do it because I think it will not benefit them for selling out of date, information. I mean, maybe
I misheard you there, or I misunderstood you, because I thought you were of the position to where they shouldn't do it.
I'm in agreement that they should be able to sell the books. I just think that they shouldn't, because it's against their bottom dollar and it's going to make them look bad. That was my point.
Okay.
And corporations, like optics are everything, and that was kind of what I was getting at.
Gotcha. Okay. Over to you, Rob.
Okay, so let me ask Destiny and Tiffany, since they seem to be ones disagreeing with me. So now we're saying that gender dysphoria, that the only way that it's an illness, transgenderism, is if you have gender dysphoria, which means that you have some sort of mental unwellness because of a result of your transgenderism. That's then gender dysphoria, but not transgenderism. That's the illness. So let me ask you this. Do you think that one of the defining characteristics of transgenderism is that there is a lack of well-being of the body? So in other words, any transgender person, do you think it would benefit their body to be able to transition to make their physical body what matches up with their mental image?
Can you repeat?
Hold on. The question. Hold on.
The question was thrown to
Destiny. Destiny, please respond.
I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it if Destiny wants. Do you think that it would benefit the body's well-being for all transgenders if their physical body and their hormones matched more up with their mental image of what they think their body should be?
Yeah, it would probably benefit everybody in society if they could like idealistically match their mind to their body. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so it would benefit the well-being of their body?
It would benefit the well-being of everybody in society. This isn't unique to trans people.
Sure.
Yes.
APA Dictionary of Psychology defines illness as the experience of sickness or lack of well-being of the body or the mind. That's how they define it.
No. So Rob, listen what you just did, okay? So you just said, could somebody improve something related to the body and mind? And then if you can't, and then like the fact that you can improve something doesn't make it a sickness prior to that. You're trying to play like a word game here to trick us into thinking the APA has a position that it doesn't. Or I'm curious, why do you think that with the little word trick that you're trying to do here, right? Like what you've essentially asked me is like, do you think that if you had a healthier diet, do you think it would make your body better? And I go, yeah, of course. And he's like, so you're sick right now, aren't you? Well, no, that's not how it works. Just because I can improve my mental or physical well-being doesn't mean that I was sick prior to that improvement. Of course not.
Now, your analogy is actually pretty reasonable. I'll give you that. But the point is this, that we know, and that you're just neither of you are being honest with it. Right? Well,
I feel like Rob and Destiny just agree. I feel like I just witnessed a miracle.
Trust me, we're not going to agree much. I feel like that you're just being disingenuous when you say, we all know that the reason I brought up the difference between cross-dressing and transgender is because we know that there's physiologically or mentally something that requires an intervention to make people more at peace or better well-being with their body. That is the definition of an illness.
That's
exactly what it is.
Hold on. Over to Tiffany. Hold on. I promise Tiffany. Tiffany, then American Nacho, then Chris. Tiffany, go ahead.
Well, I wasn't done. Do American Nacho first. Sorry.
No. It's over to you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was doing something. Can you do Nacho first?
Okay. Yeah.
She's got to Google it.
Okay, cool. No, that's fine.
Well,
American Nacho, over to you,
She's got to
sir.
Google it.
I don't know if it's
Google out.
Calm down, panelists. Calm down. If it's fine. It's fine. American Nacho, over to you.
I actually had a bit of a question for Tiffany anyway. So,
hold on. Let's hold that question, please, because she's doing this research to find a thing. Hold on. If we can.
It's fine. I'll answer the question. I'll go back to the research.
Okay.
Well, maybe it ties in, maybe it doesn't. But you said something. I mean, you said it way earlier. I wrote it down, but you basically were like, you're saying that it's not an illness, but then when you were talking about it, you said that it has a treatment. So I was curious. I don't really understand what it is to you.
Treating trans people requires a treatment.
Because he asked you, like, do you think that maybe
not
we
everything
should
that
remove
requires
it
a treatment is classified as an illness.
I think
if
mostly
you have a cold,
is
the cold.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert.
Yes, that's an illness.
So,
no.
But I'm just curious. I'm just
if
curious.
If you have a cold,
hold on, Rob.
I'm not trying to play gotcha. I'm genuinely curious. So I just don't understand. I'm curious as to know how you see this, because I think the question that he asked you that you responded to that was basically like, do you think that it should be kind of like a boob job, like it's not something that you need necessarily, or that you have to have.
Trans people might need breast jobs to help their mental stability, because they're trans. They have to match a body to match their minds, So getting a boob. Rob,
why do they have to?
Stop. Because you're making my argument.
No,
you're making my argument. That's why I'm laughing.
Scientific consensus is against your argument, so you can laugh all you want.
Well, I'm not trying to argue anything. I'm just asking.
No, not you, American Nacho. I'm talking to Rob. Rob's like,
all right, let's go ahead. Push it over to Chris. Let's go ahead and push to Chris.
I'm not upset. Laughing's the opposite of upset. Just so you know.
Well, no, I mean, you can portray
over
it
to Chris
like
Tech, please. Stop. Rob, Tiffany, time out. Chris Tech, go ahead.
So what it really, at the end of the day, whether you think it's a mental illness or whether it's not, at the end of the day, it is down to that person. Really. It's not sort of to anyone, you can, prove them all this and all that.
Well, but
hold on.
The question,
No, go.
Well, the question that Rob asked, I thought was sort of valid. Like, should we basically require, health insurances to cover this, or government subsidized health insurance to cover this, like Medicaid and stuff like that? Should they be covering these operations or treatment?
It should be.
Okay, hold on. That's a very good question. I want to push it over to Destiny. He had his hands up. Pin that question, American Nacho, because it's a very good question. Destiny, over to you, sir.
Okay, just I guess for Rob, what is a mental illness here? What definition are we working off of right now?
Well, so let me be clear. I'm not saying it's definitely a mental illness. I'm saying it's an illness, and I'm just defining it as something that requires medical information or intervention.
Okay, does the APA concern itself with these types of definitions?
I don't give a shit what the APA does, and the idea that them and the World Health Organization have bowed, many scientific enterprises have bowed to pressure from progressives.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't give a shit.
Do you agree then that you don't stand with the science on this?
I agree. I don't stand with people that are the most vocal.
You don't stand. That's all I needed to hear. Okay, that's great.
So
you don't stand. So then don't say that you stand with the science. You don't say you're making a scientific
Oh
argument.
no, I'm with the science.
No, you're
Chromosomes
not.
are real. Biology's real. No, biology's real. I'm with the science. Trans women aren't women.
Okay, wait.
If
you believe, then why do you take a position contrary to the scientific organizations that are responsible for making these types of declarations?
No. I'm taking a position contrary to specific scientific organizations that are bowed to political pressure in order to put a specific.
Can you give me an example of a? Can you give me an example of a scientific organization then that agrees with your take on this? Is there any?
Yeah.
There's not a single one, Rob. There's not.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
It's
hold
not
on.
an
Wait,
issue
pause,
that's near and dear to my heart, but sure, I'll look
Rob,
it up.
hold on. Rob, go ahead and take a break. Do the research on that one, please.
It's hard to argue with exact sciences when you're talking about transgenderism because you're talking about something that's psychological, and psychiatry isn't a science.
What?
Psychology doesn't exist in the social vacuum.
That's not true.
It doesn't.
Are all social sciences fake to you?
Psychological explanations are reduced to specific times and places. You can't do that with people.
Wait, what do you mean? How can you not do
so
this?
let me ask you then. I get where you're coming from. Are you saying that it's not a definitive science, more as in the practice? Say, for example, like the practice of medicine, the practice of psychology, like it's open to interpretation. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because
Or do you mean that
if you go in for a Rorschach test, everyone's different, right? Everyone's mind works differently. You can't define
the way you phrased that. I was like, oh, I don't know about that.
It's not like a pure science. A pure science has a definitive ending.
Okay.
Wait, do you agree that medicine isn't a science then, right? Wait, do you agree with that? That medicine is not a science?
No, I mean, why would that be a science? Medicine has nothing to do with psychology.
Because the way that we test medicine is literally because the way that we test medicine is like when it comes to creating a new drug, for instance. We might
on animals, yeah, I got you.
No, not on animals. Sometimes we don't know what the underlying mechanisms are. We can't really explain exactly what they do. We just make trials of people where we give them a whole bunch of medicine and we see what the end results are, and we're not 100% sure.
Yeah,
so
why
scientific
process?
If you
there's a scientific process.
Take,
so do you
Tylenol or Advil?
Do you understand that there's
a medicine?
Do you understand that there's a scientific process by which we do psychology experiments as well? Like
yeah, they guess.
Wait, what?
They guess.
What do you mean by
that's
they
guess?
That's
what they do. If you go in there and you talk to somebody that's in psychiatry, right? I'll use my wife as an example. She has a mental illness, right? But they never knew what was wrong. They just kept guessing until the very end.
That's a joke.
No,
because everyone here that's like.
I didn't say that there was anything wrong with being trans. I never started my statement like that. So don't take a jab at me.
Hold on, calm down. That's not what by either of you. Let's not.
You do know
nobody said there's something wrong.
There's a process by which psychologists do research. There's a process by which they test their ideas. There's a process by which they follow like scientific method to come to conclusions about things. Why do you deny that?
Gotcha, Six. Got the crest. All right, let's go over real quick.
Still not having a definitive answer to anything.
You can't have a definitive answer to anything that's too macro level. Biology is the same way. There are no definitive answers in medicine or biology.
Are you telling me in biology that they can't definitively tell you that cells split from each other?
I'm just. We can maybe say that, but in terms of saying why, that's a really hard question. Biology is much softer than something like chemistry or physics. Yeah.
So I just wanted to just quickly get a definition for mental illness or mental disorder real fast, just so that we all are on the same page. This is from the APA. A mental disorder is any condition characterized by cognitive and emotional disturbances, abnormal behaviors, impaired functioning, or any combination of these.
Yep.
Just
over to you, Krista.
So when it comes to mental illness,
gotcha, Tiffany.
It's definitely down to, when they're trying to like confirm something, a certain illness or disorder, there are usually common symptoms which they use to help their guessing, to help give the best answer. And this has come from, decades of research. So that really should be took into consideration.
Over to Tiffany.
There's actually numerous research that may imply to why some of the reasoning that they took us out, not just because of more advanced science in regard to gender and sex specifically, but also a lot of people will argue that XX and XY determines if you're a male or female, but fail to take into account that trans women's brains and vice versa, male to female brains resemble that of their cisgendered counterparts, but heavily resembles, not just like a little bit. And that is a biological component. So when people say XX and XY doesn't matter, but our brain structure, which matches that of the sex that you identify as, heavily doesn't, it's kind of suspicious, and that could also be a component, at least according to the article I'm reading.
So I want to interject my own thing, then we'll go over to Rob. Back to Destiny's thing in regards to the comparison of psychology to biology. I think there's a stark difference there in regards to outcome. I think in regards to psychology, I think a lot of it is based upon there's no like definitive right versus wrong in my perspective, saying like, how do I say this? in biology, I feel like biology is kind of like empirical evidence backed. Like we know about chromosomes, we know about all of these things.
So
this
brain
hold on. Let me just explain myself, because I feel like maybe I'm going off topic, or maybe I'm not explaining myself clearly enough. I feel like in psychology, it's just a matter of there's a lot of the possibilities of what it could be, versus in biology, it seems like if we have like, how do I say this? It's more definitive. It's more empirically backed through the actual science, versus psychology. I mean, if we look at like, let me come back to it. I don't know if I'm actually saying it the right way that I'm thinking, but it just feels like in regards to biology versus psychology, biology is more concrete, backed, shown, proof, versus psychology, it's almost kind of like the practice of. If that makes any sense.
People think, or Rob had his hand up first.
No. Leave Destiny. Rob. That's fair. Respond.
Destiny, go ahead.
People
Destiny,
make this bad comparison
Destiny.
between like biology and psychology because people will look at microscopic claims made biology and pretend that that's where all of the big claims are made. So for instance, so Rob's earlier question of like, do we know that mitosis happens, that cells divide? Well, yeah, of course, but that's not interesting. And whoever asked that earlier, turn to Ashton, right? That's not interesting. We know that, right? That's fine. Like this would be comparable to a claim or a system in psychology, say like related to operant conditioning, right? Do we know that there are some ways to condition a behavior based on a reward that will make that behavior more repeatable? That's like really basic, easy psychology. The problem is that with psychology, we're really trying to answer really big, really complicated questions. These are really hard to answer for every scientific discipline. So to compare like a very precise claim, like, do we know how, like RNA reads DNA and, makes proteins? Like, sure, like we might have like a microscopic thing like that, but on a more macro level, for instance, like how do we cure cancer? What do we do with Alzheimer's disease? Like we know the little plaques that are involved, we know the little prions involved. Why can't we do anything about that? Like how do we get people to lose weight?
So no, I see where you're going here. That makes sense.
Even for something that we've been doing for thousands of years, like how do you build muscle the most effective way? Even this is something that's like argued about, And these are the more macro claims that are really in the domain of biology. They're really hard to answer. So when people take something like, well, in biology, we know that like we can make a vaccine, right? Well, what do we do in psychology? Well, we implement a ton of psychology in terms of how we discipline our children, in terms of how we teach things to people. Like we just don't have broader like answers like why are some people evil, right? That's like a way harder question to answer. Sorry.
Everything Tiffany says is actually buttressing my argument that this is actually an illness. So let me be specific here. The term illness is actually a semantic argument that's irrelevant. The reality is it's something that's abnormal that requires medical intervention. I understand the political need to say, oh, no, that's not an illness. But again, then we haven't got to the fundamental question of should the government and insurance agencies be required to pay for treatments for people that are transgender if it's not actually an illness? Because then if it's not an illness, it's elective. So if you're transgender and say you don't have gender dysphoria, then none of your insurance nor the government should cover any of the treatments that you're receiving. Secondly, I was asked to provide for a scientific journal. Real quick, I know people are going to want to interrupt, and then you'll say move on to someone else. And here we go. Let me. Is gender dysphoria an illness?
Yes.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So here, the link I posted in the chat is from the Healthcare Association of Virginia. It says, and I quote, gender identity conflict is called gender dysphoria, a term that means dissatisfaction. It involves a conflict between a person's physical or assigned gender and the gender they identify with. People with gender dysphoria feel distress over this conflict, often in an early age, but sometimes not until puberty or later. The distress stems from the way they feel and think of themselves being in contrast to physical gender. Another term for gender dysphoria is being transgender. So there you have it. There's a scientific group, a Healthcare Association of Virginia.
Wait, link this. This is whatever they just cited. This is not
in the
correct.
chat.
Yeah, link this. Show me your.
It's in the chat.
No, hold on. Calm down. Rob, can you do me? Okay, I got you. I'm going to.
I already linked it.
It's literally in the chat. Hold on. Calm down. Hold on. Calm down real quick. I'm going to share Rob's link thing to the actual chat itself. It's actually in the Whereby chat for those that are interested. And then also Tiffany's. I know. Hold on. Can I finish, please? Can I finish? Hold on. I'm trying to make it fair across the board. Rob has shared his links in the Whereby chat. I will share Rob and Tiffany's links, all links provided to the entire audience on the debate panel on Drunken Debates. Rob finished, and we're going with Tiffany. And
okay, and then lastly, the last thing I'll say about this is there's also such a thing as body dysmorphia and people that believe that their brain actually shows that they are actually identified as not having a limb, a finger, or something like that. So my question to Tiffany and Destiny, based on your definition that it only is an illness if it causes you mental distress. If someone literally believes I identify as someone who only has one arm, but it's not causing them mental distress to have two arms, does that mean that's not an illness?
That's a false equivalency.
Why?
Why is it a false
You
equivalency?
just got done telling us. You just got done telling us that one of the defining characteristics of transgenderism is that your brain literally does not match with the physical characteristics of your body. That's exactly what body dysphoria is.
Real quick,
trans
just as a
people's
quick thing.
brains-
This is just a blog post from a for-profit hospital. This isn't like a medical authority or anything.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
why you
is-
linked this.
This is
Rob.
like an opinion piece, Rob. You want to throw some more?
It's
opinion
from the
pieces?
Healthcare Association of Virginia.
Why isn't this a
You wanna go,
.gov?
like,
why is it a .com
Get
address?
Poll
If
or
this is-
Reddit and get
So
some
why?
more
So if
sources?
it's a government organization, then it's more legitimate as opposed to people that are caring for people in a healthcare association.
No, I'm just saying
of
that
a
like I don't
state?
like. Well, no, this is like a state. I don't. This is just like a really weird thing.
Like it's just
Literally,
absurd appeals to authority.
Rob
Look,
Dyrdek
the
was the
argument,
same exact
it's
thing
just
that
absurd appeals to authorities. Like I just asked you a logical question, right? If
Wait,
we're
hold on.
saying
Okay,
if Tiffany's example
this
is
is
true,
this is a hospital system, Rob. This is not like a state like medical body or anything. This is just.
I mean, again, so you're saying that hospital systems aren't critical medical experts?
no, they're
I
not in
was
charge.
asked to
They're not in
provide-
charge of the
right.
research or the
I wasn't
diagnosis.
okay. I was not asked to provide a .gov source. I was asked to provide medical experts saying that it's an illness. That's what I did.
This is okay.
All right, so real quick, hold on. I gotta step in. Hold on, I gotta step in real quick. We gotta go down to Tiffany, and then we'll go into Destiny, and then we'll go into closing discussions. Please, Tiffany, go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe Rob hasn't been listening. And I get it, conservatives, you all have trouble listening. I understand. And reading, by the way. But well-being doesn't mean our bodies and, our bodies are we are not fit, like our physique per se. It means our happiness as a whole. So you can literally be healthy and still not be happy with your body. And when people refer to in mental illness, and when I say people, I mean like conservatives like you, Rob, they usually refer to people nowadays who have people who can no longer function in society or have trouble assimilating in society and having issues. Trans people don't inherently have that issue. Trans people can join the military. Trans people can get jobs. Trans people can do fine in every aspect except their gender identity is different. It's not like we're crippled's the wrong word.
Can I just real quick intervene?
disabled.
No. Hold on,
No,
Rob. Hold on.
Hey, this is the final thing before we go to the next topic. Remember, Rob?
I know you don't want to
can
talk about it anymore.
Well, I
Hold
mean,
on,
we can
Max.
talk about
Calm
it,
down,
but, like,
calm down. Hold on.
Anyways.
We are not in. Hold on, Tiffany. Hold on. Just to clarify, this is not closing statements. Just so you'll know.
Oh, okay.
So this is
well,
we will get to that. So Tiffany, go ahead.
Well, I thought it was last before closing statements.
No. Go ahead. No. This is. I'll tell you when we're doing closing. You have a minute.
I was just going off what you said. Okay. Trans people don't inherently have those issues. They can function fine in society as long as they're not like shit on by people like you or Six or Turned. So it's not like when you consider like people who are like have a mental illness, we're not like at a gas station at like 3 a.m, like fucking muttering to ourselves looking for like money or to like yell at a car or something like that. It's not the same thing, and that's one of the reasons we're not listed under the fucking
Can I ask a quick question?
Anymore.
Tiffany,
no,
just
let's
real
go to
quick
the closing
question.
statement.
Hold on.
Every time you say something
Calm
like
down.
green
Hold on.
wants to kill
Tiffany,
Really want to
stop.
avoid that
Stop.
question,
Tiffany,
don't you?
Stop. Hold on.
Well, all
Calm
your
down.
questions are stupid. and
Hold on,
fuck,
Tiffany.
so-
Stop. Tiffany, Rob, stop. Destiny, you had your hand up. Over to Destiny real quick. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Tiffany was getting to the correct point. So we've talked about this a ton. So what a mental illness is, generally the APA, the way that we define mental illnesses are people whose ability to assimilate into society are severely inhibited. This is what a mental illness is. These weird definitions of like mentally unwell or body doesn't fit, blah, blah, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that before. My understanding is that when the APA seeks to classify something as a mental illness, it's something that severely inhibits like your ability to hold a job, your ability to take care of yourself, your ability to maintain healthy relationships, and other ways in which we integrate in society. Every trans person does not experience dysphoria, or at least not to the degree that they are unable to do any of those things. So if you are a trans person, if you are a trans woman, if you have a male body, but you feel like you identify internally, your gender identity is that of a female, if you are able to go to school, hold on a job, have friends and stuff, and it doesn't cause such a severe severe distress that it inhibits your ability to do that, you wouldn't say that this person is mentally ill. That is the APA's position on this. My understanding is that's how most psychologists view this issue right now. That's how this is treated, like, full stop. If you want to say that it's an illness for whatever reason and you want to make up some weird shit to do it, that's fine, but it just flies in the face of how we understand what mental disorders are, how we treat them, how we diagnose them, and how we understand them.
Man.
All right, so real quick, I gotta hold on. No, I gotta interject here real quick. We're going to closing statements here. Otherwise, we're going to continue going over time.
Well,
hold on,
you
Rob.
gave Tiffany what she wanted. She couldn't answer the question, so she's happy now.
You didn't give me the question, but whatever it was going to be really dumb. Fuck, you can DM it to me.
You're
All right,
really,
calm down.
really
Okay. Stop. Calm down,
Listen,
panelists.
Rob?
Stop. Tiffany, Rob, stop. The ad hominem is going to stop. Knock it off. Okay? If we cannot adhere to the debate panel thing of let's keep it respectful, then I'm going to start muting people. All right? We're going to go into closing statements, and then we're going to move on to the next topic. Ad hominem will stop from all sides. Anybody. Does that make sense? We good with that?
Sorry, yes,
Tiffany, Rob, we good with that?
Sure.
Yes, in fact, I love
Okay.
Rob. He's Bay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
B-A-E. I want to be
Calm down,
with my
chat.
accent.
Calm
I don't
down.
like something bad.
Calm down, chat. All right, let's go into it. We're going to closing statements. Chris Tech, you've been pretty quiet. We're going to start with you. Go ahead. You got 1 minute.
Oh, where do I start? I'm gonna stick with what we were originally talking about, where this derived from. These books definitely shouldn't be banned. It's a censorship.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, sorry.
The topic.
When it comes to the issue of transgender, they can be who they want to be. Shit on them all you want. That's basically it. When it comes to mental illness, I have no comment on that.
Okay, Tiffany, down to you. You got 1 minute. Go ahead.
Oh wow, I wasn't even done. Okay, Rob, I know things sound heated, but I have.
Hold on. He's
having a
gone
lot
right now. Hold on, he's gone right now.
well.
He stepped away.
Well, he can.
We'll come back. I'll come back to. But I'll get also final discussion. No aimed at anybody. You have to stay on topic.
This was going to be like a compliment.
Okay, let me come back to you then. I'll go do 6 films. Go ahead.
So to our original discussion that we were trying to talk about, but then straight off, books shouldn't be censored. It's stupid. It states that you can look at all the history. If we start censoring stuff, shit goes bad. That's simple. When it comes to mental illnesses, let's talk about that. The fact that the APA is still teaching people that are going in psychology degrees, and I can personally attest to this because this is one of my majors, we still learn that transgender people are still classified as a mental illness. It's that simple. When it comes to mental illness and functioning in society, if that stuff is true, that would classify as depression and stuff like that is classified as a mental illness. But people can still function in society with depression, anxiety, PTSD, all that stuff. So it's that simple. It's not a mental illness. It's a mental disorder. There's a big difference. This has been wiped pretty much from being used.
Okay, over to back to Tiffany. Go ahead.
All right, now that Rob's back, Rob, I know things sounded heated earlier, but I'm having a lot of fun, and
Me
so
too.
don't leave mad. I'm
not.
No, but if I'm like giving you like shit, and you're like, oh fuck, Tiffany, just keep in mind I don't hate you, Rob. I think I'm having a lot of fun playing off you, so don't don't be a hater. Anyways, that said, keep in mind, not just Rob, but anyone listening, that by Rob's definition, believing in a religion, including Christianity.
Now, hold on. I gotta stop. Hold on, Tiffany. I said
She's not
closing
insulting.
debate. No. This is insulting. It's not countering somebody in your closing statement. Simply talk about the statement or the topic itself
shit, I'm in
without
trouble.
referencing somebody else. No, Rob's not gonna be allowed to do it
alright,
either.
so-
Tiffany, please rephrase. You got 20 seconds left.
By no one's definition, but what can also be misconstrued as a mental illness could be people who are Christian or any other kind of religion. And if you don't think they should be classified as such, then maybe you understand what I'm talking about. Is that PG
That's
now?
fair. That's
John?
fair. Yeah.
I know the only reason I say I don't want people taking subtle jabs at anybody else in the panel is exactly what's going to happen. Is
meant to be a
essentially
jab. It was just building off what he was saying. But I
understand, but the problem is it leads into a whole different thing of people wanting to continue the debate. It needs to be on topic by itself. American Nacho, over to you. You got 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll try to. Man, I want to say so much to that, but obviously that's not the topic. Censorship is mainly the topic, right? So,
yes, sir.
In my opinion, is the same kind of deal as with Twitter and all these other places. I don't think it's a good thing to ban these individuals. I think it's better if you really think that people are releasing this kind of information or posting these things or writing books like this that are really terrible and bad faith, and they're completely false and they have no factual basis to them. I think it's better for them to stick their necks out and be out there in the public eye where people can be critical of these things, instead of having these people banned off every platform and then now it's kind of circulating underground. I think you just shouldn't buy the book. Just the same way you should just hit the block button. If you don't agree with what somebody's saying, block them. If you don't want to read the book, don't read the book. So, and I understand that I still kind of come from that like constitutional perspective of like, it's their right to decline to sell it, but at the same time, I think it's better if we have all this information out there.
All right, going up to Rob for 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's negative things I could say about Tiffany, but let me say a lot of positive things. First off, it's hard to have a conversation about something so near and dear to your heart. And I don't mind anything you said to me. I take everything with a laugh on my face, really, and all of these panels, including this one. So please don't feel that you coming at me, I'm taking it bad at all. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it, more so than most times. So I'm having a good time with it. I agree. I think that actually Six Film made the excellent point there that based on the definition that we hear being alleviated here, that would mean that anyone that has schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, as long as they're still functioning in society, that wouldn't be an illness. That's just absurd. It's semantical and it's appeal to authority to say, well, actually it's a disorder and not an illness or something like that. Or because the APA says it's clearly true, we should interrogate whether or not, even if experts are saying it, that it makes logical sense. The truth is, Tiffany made the best arguments in this round about how your brain doesn't match up with your body. That proves that by any colloquial definition that it's an illness or it's a disorder or something that requires intervention. And the question that no one was able to answer and isn't able to be answered in the realm of actual politics about this is, does this mean if it's not an illness that we should stop requiring insurance companies to pay for treatments? Should the federal government no longer have to require treatments for people that are in the military or other governmental agencies?
All right, Destiny, down to you, sir. 1 minute, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that you should be not selling books on your platform because you might disagree with some of the ideas in them. That's really weird as a bookseller. Anybody that is doing a formal education related to psychology should know what the DSM says, and the DSM very clearly, between 4 and 5, changed gender identity disorder to being replaced with gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria does require, according to the DSM, some severe mental distress that persists for at least 6 months that affects you either socially, occupationally, or your relationships. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this one with my own. I didn't do it last. I'm going to go ahead and put it this way. I have to agree with a lot of the panelists on this one, saying that as a private company, they reserve the right what they choose to or to not sell. I don't think the government should come in and say that you should be required to do this. Ultimately, it's up to Amazon. In regards to transgender issues, in regards to trans rights, look, I think your rights go beyond that into human rights. The way I see it is, don't care who you love, don't care what you do to your own body. It's your body, it's your choice. I completely and 100% support that. I just don't want to pay for it. I think it's a live and let live. That's a libertarian policy of essentially you do what you want, I do what I want. You should have access to the same things that I do. There should be no discrimination regarding your sex, love of another human being, race, religion, doesn't matter. You are free to do as you wish in your country as long as you don't infringe on the rights of other people. And like I said, I just don't want to pay for it. That's all I have to say about that. Panelists, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. It is currently 9:10. Please be back at 9:15. Refill, use the restroom. I'm going to address the chat real quick. Yes, sir.
Hey, turn to Ash got disconnected again.
Oh, hold on. I'll bring it back in.
Thank you, Six. See, Six Films is
I'll be right
quintessential panelist that's always
Isn't
on top
this
of
the second time Turn to Ash had this issue? Are you okay, Turn? Like, is it your internet connection or?
He has an illness.
Listen, I'm gonna use the restroom. I disagree with John,
Yeah,
but the topic's over, and I'll talk to him another time. I'm having fun. I'm gonna go urinate, and then I get another drink, and I assume you should all do the same. And if you don't urinate, then you're a fucking camel, and I
It's the
commend
last
you.
can of alcohol in my entire.
All right, we're on break. Rob, what's the question you said people won't answer?
Like,
What do you keep saying? People.
Yeah, it's the question I said. Does that mean if it's not an illness that we should not require insurance companies and government agents to pay for these treatments?
Correct. You should only require insurance. That doesn't require. Wait, careful. Hold on. Insurance should only be required to cover the treatment of gender dysphoria, not of just being a trans person.
He did say dysphoria was on the list, not just.
Do you
being
think?
trans.
Okay, so do you think that could be easily exploited? That a trans person that wasn't experiencing gender dysphoria?
No.
If you think that could be
Hoops,
easily
you have-
exploited, then literally every single psychiatric illness could quote unquote be meant to exploited.
No, that's not
Rob,
true because
Rob,
there's a no, real quick.
No.
It's hard to respond.
Please, I'm the only trans person here. Let me defend it. As
I don't
a trans
give a shit.
person, there's a
I don't
lot of
care at all.
fucking. Yeah, I know you don't care because you're fucking dumb. But
No, because I don't believe in this
trans
victimhood
people
mindset that your
have a
identity
lot
means
of
what you can
hoops.
talk about.
Trans people have a lot of hoops to fucking hop through. You can't just be like,
Okay.
oh, let me hop on hormones. Oh, let me get the sex change. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, excuse me,
Remember when I
Tiffany,
said a
for
lot of
talking to you.
time,
You
money,
have
and
gender
grief, and you
dysphoria?
totally ignored it because you don't give a fuck about trans people? And I don't know
Did
why.
you-
Maybe you've had like two sexual
Let me
partners
ask
and like,
you, since you're responding, did you have gender dysphoria?
I mean, I'm like specifically like, did I feel like I
Yes.
wasn't? I mean,
Did you think it was an illness? What you
body
experienced was an
dysphoria or
illness?
gender dysphoria?
No. Dysphoria is an illness, whether it be gender or body. Correct, Destiny?
Body is body dysmorphia, technically, not dysphoria. I don't know
Yeah.
if body dysmorphia
but
is
still an
characterized as
illness.
an illness or not. I'm not sure. Right, we would-
Still an illness. Anyways,
body
did you have an
dysmorphia is
illness or not?
classified as a disorder.
Wait, listen. I only have a finite time to pee, and I really have to pee. So
That's
I'll be
fair.
right
Go
back.
pee. That's fair.
Listen,
That's
Rob,
fair.
Rob, I think you're fine if you want to like DM me or follow me on.
I would love to talk to you about
Discord.
it. I would love
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I
Yeah,
talk
I'd
to
love to talk to you more
rednecks, so
people.
I'll talk to you too. So
Let me
I
be
really-
clear. Look, go ahead. Go pee. Yeah.
Look.
I have to. Yeah, I really have to pee. Like Rob, I'm not even joking. And I
have
don't
to-
want to tell everyone that.
I
but
totally-
there's
I
gonna
get
be
it.
urine coming out of my like genitals.
Okay, wait. So
I've-
Rob, you should be able to treat it. Your insurance should cover you if you have gender dysphoria. But if you're just a trans
Okay.
person, then no, your insurance, unless you've got like elective insurance. Or something,
Okay,
which people
but
don't.
when you say that
Interesting.
other illnesses
That's a-
could be exploited, there's not an
a
exploit.
fair
The
take.
difference is this: that even if you don't have gender dysphoria, if you're trans, you still say it's beneficial of you to receive these treatments. Correct?
Sure, but that's true of a whole bunch of different things where you might not have a particular illness. Maybe blood thinners would not
That
be a
would also
particular
just
illness.
depend on the person.
I had someone in chat asked me, they were like, so should I be able to get Botox too? Because there's studies that prove that your physical looks can improve depression, et cetera, et
Sure.
cetera.
Wait. Well, let's. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but it
wait.
also
This is
Botox
this
can
is
help with your
this is par for the
So
this is par for the course. Okay. So for instance, if a woman has breast cancer, she sometimes after getting a mastectomy will get like breast reconstruction surgery, which is essentially a boob job, right? A woman can get that
Right.
after as well. Sure. Or people will get facial reconstruction surgery for whatever. Yeah. Of course. It just depends.
But that's different. That's elective. Look,
No.
look at our
What I
issue,
just
man.
said, I don't. The reconstruction of your breast or whatever, or reconstruction of your face or whatever, I don't think is considered elective surgeries.
I mean, I will admit that I don't know
Yeah, it's
how
like-
that's qualified. I can tell you this, as someone who works with people with developmental disabilities, these pricks won't even pay for crowns on their teeth because they consider that elective. Instead, they say you have to remove the teeth because it's vain
I don't know
or
how that
somehow-
plays into anything we're talking about at all, but okay. It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm
If people...
saying, in my experience in the medical
Okay, but
industry,
my question for you guys though is: should we be treating the disorder specifically, or are we just letting them have it?
Trans people aren't
You know what I
considered. It's
mean?
not considered
Like,
a
should-
disorder. Wait, where do you said you go to
I think
school
we
and
might
they
be
teach
going
that
back
being
and,
trans is a disorder
we
or
might be
illness?
going live again in a minute.
Yeah, we still get taught in psychology that.
Wait, is this like a
transgender
private Christian
is
university, or what do you?
classified as
Why are they teaching you things that are explicitly
No,
like not stated in the
public-
you gotta
DSM?
public
think-
university.
Come on, man.
Most universities probably aren't on the new
It's a public
WHO
university.
whatever.
and it's
If you look at
and a
books,
psychology
No. Hold on.
degree.
This okay.
They
Fuck.
classify it together.
Okay, wait, real quick. Okay, fuck the WHO. I don't care about the WHO. Okay, the APA, the DSM-5 was published in 2013, and changes were made to that before the new edition was published. So I'm really curious what type of school you're going to where they're teaching things that are explicitly not in the DSM or that are contraindicated in the DSM. That's incredibly weird to me.
it's interested in science more than politics.
What
sounds like a
is?
good school
But
to go.
no, Rob, you already abdicated your position of science. You already said you don't agree with the science. So stop saying that. Okay.
No, I agree with science. I didn't agree with political organizations that are making political points in rejection of science.
You don't have any
That's what
scientific body that you can point to that agrees with you. The only one you pointed to is a private hospital company that just has a blog page that like poorly uses some
Okay,
terms.
I have every single medical organization prior to 2013.
Okay, and I've got medical organizations prior to 1900 that says that black people have big craniums and make them stupid. What kind of an argument is that? Like,
your argument is in 2012, all of these organizations were insane bigots?
No, my argument. No,
reason
it's
to
not about being
say-
bigoted. My argument is a scientific. Hold on, wait, we're still peeing. Oh, John, listen to me, John. Tiffany's in the bathroom. If you start the show right now, you are being transphobic. You got to take 5 more minutes, okay?
Oh God.
Oh my God. Stop. All right, so real quick. No, we're not gonna. I am gonna wait for Tiffany. I want all panelists here. So let's just comment down. Hold on, Rob. Hold on, Destiny. You two part. I love having you two on the panel. You have a great discussion. Let's calm it down a little bit. Let's calm it down. Okay. Let's calm it down.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
All I want to do is just watch my favorite streamer Destiny and post Wuya in chat and, talk about DGG memes and say team me or
Okay, stop.